Have you ever told your child to just calm down? It's really no big deal. You don't need to be worried about that. Anytime they were feeling anxious, only to see them spiral further down in their anxious feeling? Would you like a plan that could actually be more effective at helping your child work through those worried and anxious feelings? If your answer to those questions are yes, then this is your video. I want to show you exactly how you need to respond if you're going to help your child work through those worried and anxious feelings. In a previous video, I gave an overview of my calm response. Whenever we have children who are struggling with big emotions like feeling anxious and worried, we want to use this calm response, and I'll put a link to that video in the description down below. CALM stands for connect, attune, lean, and map. Each one of those in that acronym CALM is going to help you effectively lead your child through the emotion of feeling anxious or worried towards greater peace. But you need to get each one of those steps right so you can effectively lead them. So that's where this video series comes in. That other video is great. You should watch it. It's a wonderful overview. But I'm making in the next several weeks 4 videos, one for each letter in the CALM acronym. And this video is all about connect. How do we connect with our child to help them as they move through this worrisome or anxious moment in their life? As parents, when our children come to us worried and anxious about something, we're there. We want to help them. But the way we often help them is by showing them they don't need to worry about that. But that's not where their hearts are at. That's not where their minds are at that moment. They're kind of stuck in this big emotion that they're feeling right now. And us just telling them not to worry about it isn't effective. It's not helping them. So what we need to do is we need to connect with our child. What we're doing in the connect stage is we're letting our child know you've got someone safe here. You've got a friend. You've got a partner in this worrisome moment who's going to understand where you're at and help you move through. Proverbs 20 verse 5 tell us that the purposes of a person's heart are deep waters, but one who has insight draws them out. Our children are deep waters at times, and our job is to draw out what's inside those deep waters to help our children. But when we just come along and tell them what's in the water that we can't see because it's so far down there and deep isn't anything to worry about, our children say, oh no, it's still down there. I need to worry about it. We need to help our children fish out what's deep down in their hearts and help them look at it and decide, where do they put this? Is this something that we can put in the category of, nothing to really worry about? Does this need to go on another shelf that says something to consider, something to keep in the forefront of my mind? Or is this something we need to put on this shelf over here that says, nope, this is a big concern. We need to keep our eyes on this thing over here. Where does that thing go in our shelves that I've imaginarily put above my head right now? Where does it go? We're not getting into that conversation because we're too busy just telling our kid, don't worry about what's down there. But the Lord's calling us to go fishing with our children, to go deep into the waters of their hearts, draw those things out, because that's not only going to help your child, it's going to help you. You're also going to gain insights as a parent for how you can effectively support your child in this moment. I was working with a family not too long ago who had a 9 or 10-year-old daughter who you might call a germaphobe. Not exactly the term I wanted to use, but it was a term that was getting used for her. When someone sneezed in the room, she was quick to go wash her own hands and stay away from that area of the room. If she got dirty outside, she felt like she needed to go take a shower every single time. If somebody else was sick in the family, she was keeping her distance to the nth degree. She was constantly washing her hands to the point where in the wintertime, her hands were getting so cracked and raw because of the dry air mixed with the constant washing. She was starting to not go places. This germaphobe thing was really starting to affect how she was living life. And her parents really saw what she was doing and originally were thinking, like, this is nothing to worry about. You got to stop worrying about this stuff. That wasn't connecting with her. It wasn't working. And so we worked on using the CALM approach. And it started with the way they changed how they entered into the conversation with their daughter. They started by saying simple things like, wow, you're really worried about getting sick, aren't you? Like, oh boy, they just sneezed over there. How you feeling about that? Simple things like that changed how they were approaching with their daughter in the moment. And that connect step totally unlocked the rest of the conversation. We're not going to do all the work here in the connect step. This step is 1 step out of 4. But it's huge because if we don't connect, we're not letting our children know that it's safe to go fishing right now. We can go deep into the waters right now. But by connecting like that, we tell our kids the water's safe. Let's go dive into the heart together. And if we're just meeting for the first time, hi, I'm BJ Muir, and I'm a Christian parenting coach who uses a heart-based approach to parenting to help you as a parent dive deeper into the hearts of your children so you can actually see change that actually lasts and use practical tools and strategies that you can adapt to your kids that'll actually help you see change in yourself, your child, your family, your life. If that sounds great to you, keep watching this video and even hit that thumbs up button as you're seeing value in here. When our kids come to us with their worries, we tend to make three mistakes as parents. We tend to do one of a couple of things. One, start dismissing. We say things like, oh, it's no big deal. You don't need to worry about that. We tend to start shaming by simply saying things, oh, you need to trust God more with that. We're not intending to shame, but that is kind of where we're going with it. Or we start fixing. We start coming up with the solutions to the problems that they're bringing us and how they don't need to worry about, because here's the solution to it, rather than just trying to connect. When we start dismissing, shaming, and fixing, we are way too ahead in the process, or sometimes just outright doing the wrong thing. And we're fumbling the ball with our kids. And we see it's not working. But the reason I see parents doing this is not because they're trying to dismiss their kids. I don't see that. Or because they're trying to shame their kids. I know I don't see that. Or because they're just trying to fix. Well, they're not trying to fix their kid, but they are trying to fix the problem for their kid. But what we don't realize is this ain't working. So we need to try something else instead. Instead, we need to let go of these responses because they're making our child feel unheard and not understood at all. And we need to pick up this connect step where we say things such as, wow, that sounds really tough. Tell me about it. Or, wow, you look really worried about this. Something as simple as that helps your child understand you're seeing them. No, you're not saying, hey, it's right for you to be worried about this. Hey, I want to affirm your anxious feelings here because this is something you should be anxious about. You're not saying that. You're not affirming that aspect. You're acknowledging that this is where they're at. You're not making a judgment on whether or not that's the right place to be. And really, I don't think there's a reason to do that. We're just simply saying, hey, I see you, and this is how you're feeling. If you still need some convincing that this is really a better way to approach things, I want you for a second, just put yourself in your child's shoes. Imagine you're worried about something, and the person you respect, the person you look up to, the person you love the most comes to you. And when you reveal to them that you're really worried about this thing, they turn to you and say, oh, you don't gotta worry about that. Where are you at with that person now? Is this someone you're going to feel comfortable opening up to more? Is this somebody you're going to go to again? Or are you starting to feel hurt? Are you starting to feel unheard? Are you starting to withdraw and pull back? I guarantee you're in the latter category because that person's not connecting with you. They're not hearing you. And so we need to do for our children what we really wish those who love us would do for us, or are doing for us, hopefully. But BJ, the Bible says right there, Philippians 4, 6, and 7, don't be anxious. You're not supposed to be anxious, BJ. It's wrong. Yeah, I've heard that, but here's my problem. That's not actually the verse, okay? Let's start quoting the verse fully. So it does say, do not be anxious. But then it goes on to say, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understandings, will be in your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Like, it goes on from there. What's it really saying? Saying, hey, don't be anxious, but you're gonna. So come to me, come to God, and tell me all about it. God's reaching out saying, connect. I want to connect with you. God's not saying it's a sin to feel worry. God's not saying it's a sin to feel anxious about something. What God's saying in those verses is, hey, you shouldn't feel this way because you don't need to, but you're gonna, so come to me. I want to connect. Let's embrace all of Philippians 4, verses 6 and 7, where we let our kids know, you don't need to worry, but when you do, I'm here, and Jesus is here, and we're going to walk this road with you, kid, so let's go. So if we're going to really connect with our kids to help them move forward with their worried and anxious feelings, we're going to need to take 3 actions as parents to help our children. The first one is a very simple one, but profoundly difficult at times. It's called pausing. You and I have maybe built up some bad habits when our children come to us with their worried and anxious feelings. Maybe you heard me say those 3 things that parents tend to do, dismissing, shaming, and fixing, and you're like, oh, I do some of those things. This is why you need to pause and why I need to pause, because we have some bad habits built up. And so if we just jump into this and try to connect, we're probably going to stumble over our own words and do some old things we used to do. Instead, pause, take a deep breath, and tell yourself, it's time to connect. I need to connect, and get ready to connect with your child. This pause only takes a breath or 2 breaths, but it's so important to put you in the right frame of mind. You need to block out those voices in your head that are saying, this is nothing that this kid should worry about. I can't believe we got to take time and deal with this. All those voices that speak to us, we need to put on the side in this pause moment. The second thing we need to do is we need to look at our child so we can mirror their emotion. We want our tone of voice and our facial expression to match where our kid is at. And so we want to sound concerned. We want to sound empathetic. We want to sound calm when we get into that calm statement, that connecting statement. So we need to actually take in where our child's at so we can match them and mirror them in a good way. And finally, we need to actually then use those connecting phrases that I've been using in this video. Things like saying, wow, it looks like you're really worried about this. Tell me more. Or, whoa, I can see this is really bothering you, isn't it? Something like that is a phrase you're going to start using with your kid. And so your third step is to actually use the phrase. You pause long enough to take a deep breath and block out all those negative things that aren't working for you. You've looked at your child to mirror their emotion as well. And now you're ready to actually make that connecting statement. This first step of connecting with our child in the calm response to help them work through this anxious feeling they have is so important. I've watched families come to me to work on helping their child with feeling anxious. And when they don't do the connect part, the other three steps just fall apart. They end up not being able to help their kid because they haven't connected with their kid. Jesus does this with us. We need to do this with our kid. Like I said, this is just the first in a series of 4 videos, so I'm going to put the second video when it's ready right here. In the meantime, here's the overview video that you can check out the whole calm response with. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.